Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Hybrid Now. Out here cruising around in the Toyota Prius, and if you're new to the channel, first of all, go ahead and click that subscribe button. But the big question is, would I buy this car again? Would I even recommend it? If you're not familiar, this is the 2023 Toyota Prius. It is the hybrid version, not the plug-in prime version. It's an all-wheel drive limited. And I have to say, the car is awesome. I love it. So that might give you a little bit of a hint. But why is that? What's good about this car? You know, there's a few things I look for in any vehicle when I get it. And the first thing, of course, is the looks. It's what always brings me to a new vehicle. It has to be a good-looking car. And Toyota has hit a home run with this one. It is awesome. I wasn't a fan of the previous generation. I thought it was ugly. I just didn't care for it. And when I saw this one, I fell in love. And I couldn't believe it was a Prius. I was shocked that they had turned what I didn't like before into what it is now. Sleek body lines. I would even go as far as to say this car is sexy. I love the outside look. The interior, it's awesome as well. It's advanced, it's futuristic looking, it's like it should be. I got the big screen, which, by the way, originally when I was on my hunt, this was the third one that I committed to that I actually was able to get. The previous two had that smaller screen. I highly recommend that you go for the model with the bigger screen. It's easier to see, it looks cool in the car, and it's just easier to use, I think, because it's bigger. The gauge cluster, you know, people had complained, I've mentioned this before, about not being able to see it. That's crazy. Get your seat in a position where you can use everything you have, just like you would normally. You might have to raise it a little bit higher, you might have to lower the steering wheel a little bit, whatever suits you, whatever makes you comfortable, but you certainly can get it to a position that it makes sense and that you can actually see everything you need to see. Love everything in here. The materials are good. Haven't had any fit or finish issues. Nothing that's broken or looks funky or, you know, fortunately has had to be replaced or anything crazy like that. This is a new model, right? So you would expect that maybe there would be some growing pains, some issues, and thus far I've had nothing like that. Secondly is the performance of the car. The second thing that I look for. How does it drive? Is it quick? Is it fun to drive? You know, there's nothing worse than getting a vehicle and then discovering you really don't like it. That happened to me a long time ago. I had the urge to buy, it was a Honda Civic SI. It was a four-door version. It was during the ugly period, I think, of the SI model. Got it. I didn't really hate the looks of it, honestly. It was neither here nor there after I had it for a while, but driving it was horrible. You had to wind that thing up so high to get anything out of it. It just wasn't fun to drive for me. I had the car for about 2 or 3 months, and embarrassingly, I traded it. I just couldn't stand it. This car is awesome. It's quick, it accelerates fast. I mean, it has a 0 to 60 time, and this is a Prius we're talking about, of just about 7 seconds, maybe a hair under. It kind of depends on which model you get. The fastest, of course, is the Prius Prime, and we'll get to that in a minute. I love the way that it handles. It corners well, it steers well. You have different settings you can select if you want to be a little bit sportier in the car. If maybe you're shooting for better fuel economy, you can go to eco mode, or you can just drive around in normal, which is what I find myself doing a lot of the time. Although I think I'm going to test out the sport steering mode. It's a little stiff in sport suspension, I think, but steering, I do like a nice crisp kind of firm steer to the car, and I think I'm going to go with that next. Nothing wrong with normal mode. It's simply awesome. It's just fine. Now, fuel economy wise, we have to talk about that, and honestly, fuel economy was not a major concern for me. I've never bought any vehicle really for fuel economy. It's kind of a side benefit, the fact that I get good fuel economy in a car that's fun to drive, comfortable, and looks great. I mean, what a bonus that is, right? This car would make an awesome daily commuter for anybody who runs back and forth to the office every day, you know, pounding it out at that brick and mortar. Hopefully you like your job. I love mine, full-time YouTuber, by the way. So it would be perfect for that. Cross-country trips, I may find out. I'm going back and forth and taking this car on a long-distance trip next summer, or taking a Toyota Tundra. Completely different vehicles, I realize, and completely different fuel economy. But this car feels so comfortable just driving it around, running errands and daily commuting, that I think it would make for a good long-distance hauler. Now, the only downside to that would be if you have a family, maybe you're going to put some people in the back. There's not a ton of room back there. I wouldn't recommend it if that's your situation, but for me, it would be only me in the car, so no big deal as far as anybody else's comfort. I think it would be fine. Let's talk about pricing, because that, of course, should be, I think, one of the main considerations when you're looking for any vehicle. Never put yourself in a position that you're living check to pay your car. This was not cheap. I didn't pay any premiums or anything on it, but I did pay right about sticker for it. I know there are dealers out there that are charging aftermarket adjustments or markups on cars. Not the case for me. Fortunately, I wouldn't have paid a markup on it. It's just something I don't do anymore, and I highly suggest you don't either. That's money that you're never going to get back. You're never going to sell it off down the road and get that extra 5 or 10 grand tacked back into the price. So it's a huge waste of money. I think it was fair. It was about I think it was $38,000, $39,000, something like that for this car. For what you get, I don't think it's really out of line. It's the latest and greatest in Toyota's line of hybrids, at least when it comes to the Prius. Does everything it's supposed to do, and it does it well. So I don't really have any issue with pricing on it. Lastly, do I recommend this car? Well, I recommend the Prius, and honestly, if I had it to do over again, I probably would go with the Prius Prime. I was mistaken when I started looking at the Prius. For some reason, I thought, or had it stuck in my head, that the Prius Prime was fully electric and you'd have to charge it every time, you know, it ran low. I was wrong. It is a plug-in hybrid, which means, of course, that it will run on a gas-powered engine if you exceed or need to with the hybrid part of it, the battery part. I recommend that vehicle. I recommend the Prius overall. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great car. You notice I keep saying that word awesome because it really is. I would just go with the Prime version. I think if you're going to go to this type of vehicle, why not go for the full Monty and go ahead and grab the Prime? Now, lastly, I guess there is one more thing. I did a video recently. I mentioned about resetting the trip meter to get a better idea of what the fuel economy is. I'm supposed to be getting something like, I think it's 52 to 54 miles per gallon. Right now, since the reset, and I just did that today, I'm getting 48.1 miles per gallon in climbing. It's going to be interesting to see if I can manage to get all the way up to 50. I think you really shine in this car when you have a good mix of city driving and freeway driving, more so city, because you're going to be more on the electric side of the power band. So I think we're gonna get up a little bit higher. Anyway, I just wanted to get on. Would I buy this car again? Absolutely. Would I recommend it? Every time. Check it out if you happen to be in the market for a hybrid or even just a daily commuter that you want to save a little bit of gas on and still have a fun time driving it. Leave a comment. Let me know if you've gotten the new Prius. What do you think of it? I'd be curious. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.